And just like that, Raider Nation, man, we are so close to the kicking off the season against the Los Angeles Chargers in a game that I'm extremely excited about. And look, today, you guys, we got a lot to discuss. We're going to get inside the mind of a guy like Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels as we look to cut down this roster to the 53 guys who we're going to be seeing week one. And I'm so excited. We got a lot to talk about, Raider Nation, so we're going to let the chat pull up. I just want to address everybody, man. Let's see who we got in the building. We got Jack Kenna. He says, Ray, my brother, salute. Shout out to you, Jack Kenna. Armando says, Raider Nation for life. Shout out to you. Thank you for pulling up, my friend. Richard is in the building. He says, Ray, Jack, and Anthony, salute my brothers. I appreciate you for pulling up. Robert Pena, salute Ray. Salute Raider Nation. Family. That's right, man. We're here to have a great, fantastic show, and I'm excited that all you guys decided to come and spend your weekend with me. There's a lot to discuss, and we got to break down this entire roster. We're going to review the Patriots game, and we're just going to see where the 53-man roster may lie. I've got my ideas, and I've got some surprise candidates in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say. Let's see who else we got here. We got DeMarcus Webb, Raider Ray. What's good, brother? T. Billy would have had 6 if Carr made the pass yesterday. That is a fact, my brother. And look, Tyron Johnson is one of those guys we've talked about this all offseason, and you kind of seen in that last game, he really needed that. Let's just be honest. Tyron Johnson needed to show that ability to stretch the field. And yes, if Derek Carr was in that game, you're talking about Tyron Johnson blowing the top off of a defense, blowing coverage, and getting a touchdown, and something that would have been absolutely huge for him. And I think it's something that he's going to bring to the Raiders offense this 2022 season. Sean Johnson's in the building. He says, Raider Ray, excited for your 53-man roster, Raider Nation for life. Sean is one of those guys, man. He always keeps me updated with every little individual stat. We talk almost every single day on Instagram. If you guys have not followed me on Instagram, man, I'm going to post it up right here. This is my IG, _Raider Ray _. So there's 9 of you here. If you guys haven't yet, smash the like button. Now that we jumped up to 14, all 14 of you, we should have 14 likes, man. You know how we do. We support Raider Nation. So let's see. Debo says, Raider Ray, glad to see you. Good to see you too, my brother. Official that Masterson is making the 53. Yes, and I'm fired up to hear about that, man. And we're going to talk about Luke. Luke had a phenomenal offseason, you guys. He had a great preseason, and we're going to address all things when it comes to this roster. Michael Holiday says, Raider Nation for life. Michael, I appreciate you for pulling up, man. Raiderette for life says, salute, Raider Ray. Salute to you, Raiderette. I'm glad that you pulled through and spent some time of your weekend with me. I appreciate it. DeMarcus says T. Billy gives me Ruggs vibe. He does. He gives me Ruggs vibes. Now, he doesn't have the 4.2 speed, but when he has that 4.3 speed, it is very similar. I do wish, man. Could you guys imagine if Henry Ruggs never got involved in the stuff that he got involved in and making the kind of decisions? Man, it's kind of a shame because Henry Ruggs with a Devontae and a Hunter and a Darren, you kind of look back on the what could be. But look, we're not going to look back to the past, man. We're moving forward with Raiders football, the 2022 season. It's been phenomenal. Richard says, Raiderette, salute. Raiderette says, salute Richard. Boogie. Bauer is a beast. Bauer is a beast. All right, y'all. There's 18 of you guys. Let's get 18 likes and let's move on. We're going to review the Patriots game. If you guys like this, this is the throwback starter zip up. You know what I mean? I had to go a little bit old school tonight. Sean Johnson says, Alex Leatherwood to me is the biggest mystery. I heard something about he's fed up with the Raiders. Let's see what happens. I don't even know if it's necessarily he's fed up with the Raiders as much as it's the Raiders are fed up with Alex Leatherwood. I mean, let's be honest. The Raiders gave Alex Leatherwood every single opportunity to go out there and really hold down that right tackle spot, and they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to show any type of tie to that right tackle position and let the best man win. And over the course of the entire preseason, they gave Alex Leatherwood, and especially in practice, and that's where Alex Leatherwood did not hold it down. Not to mention, on film, he looked terrible at right tackle. When you're going to the practice field and you're not holding it down for Coach Priscillo or Josh McDaniels, these guys are going to start the best player possible. So no, to say that he's fed up with the Raiders, no. The Raiders gave Alex Leatherwood every single opportunity, and if he's fed up with the Raiders, then the Raiders have no choice but to cut bait and move on. They've shown that dead cap space with the Kenyon Drake releasing, they're not necessarily worried about it. They're willing to get out of bad contracts, players that aren't a fit, and they're not obligated to hold on to you regardless of the money. So that's kind of nice to see. Maybe get out of these bad contracts, bad roster fits early and move on later down the road when it comes to cap space and money. But the quicker you can wash your hands of these contracts that are bad currently on the roster, you should probably do it, especially when we're looking at the big picture of this roster. Adams would have never been here, in my opinion. Jermaine has won the right tackle position. Yep, we're going to get all into this. So look, we're reviewing the game that we just had. And look, shout out to the Raiders. We had our first undefeated preseason, which was huge for us, right? And look, I know that it's preseason. None of it really matters, but it's really cool to see this Raiders team who looks just disciplined. They look all into the scheme on, especially the defensive side of the football. It looks phenomenal. You go to the offensive side. Look, I know that the offensive line has a little bit of question marks, but overall, the depth of these guys have played actually pretty well. And we're going to kind of talk about that. And when you talk about the QB play, I mean, Derek Carr didn't see a single snap. So you had guys like Jared Stidham, who came over, who has secured the backup spot as of right now. Nick Mullins comes in. He ends up getting traded away. And then you get a guy like Chase Garbers. And when you look back on the entire course of the preseason, none of these guys turned the ball over, which is crucial. Josh McDaniels has come in and really done a good job at getting these guys up to speed on the playbook. And the fact that even our young rookie, you know what I mean, and Chase Garbers doesn't create a turnover the entire preseason, knows when to take a sack, is creative with his feet. He's a really good practice squad development guy, and I like that. Look, if Jared Stidham, Nick Mullins, which is a guy who's forced the ball into some tight windows in times past, if he's not creating interceptions and turnovers, what is that going to say about Derek Carr in this offense? And how much is Derek going to have this entire playbook in his back pocket? And I'm really curious to see how good with the football Derek Carr is. We all know he has a really good quick release, really smart quarterback. And I think you guys, this is kind of a take that I've had, and I haven't really heard this much, is that Derek Carr is his IQ. He's known to be a good, smart football player, but this year you're really going to see how good and how smart of a football player Derek Carr is. And let me explain why. We all know the matchup nightmares that is Devontae and Hunter and Darren. And so these defenses know, all right off the bat, when you line up against the Raiders, you're obviously going to have to pick and choose who you cover. Now, with that being said, you're going to get a lot of situations where Devontae is going to be doubled or Darren. And these defenses are really going to make Derek Carr question. And I think that you're going to see a lot more disguised defenses to where it may look like they're doing a double covering on Devontae Adams, and it may look like coverage has gone that way. Can Derek Carr navigate through the tricks that these defenses are going to play with him? They're going to do a lot of things that they're really not doing, if that makes sense. They're going to be disguising a lot of fronts, a lot of coverages, maybe showing a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage who are going to peel off and drop into coverage. So I'm really curious to see how far Derek Carr's IQ over the years have just developed, because I think more so this season, defenses last year were able to sit in zones or just man-to-man cover the Raiders wide receivers and force Derek to make really good throws. This year, defenses are going to have to target Derek Carr in a different aspect, and it's going to be getting really creative with defensive formations, coverages, disguises. So I'm really curious to see how Derek Carr does on that front. Robert says, we can't worry about their contracts. We keep the best players and move on from mistakes. And 100%. And I absolutely love that take. Look, all 20 of one of you guys, go smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time. I appreciate you guys. Garbers was consistent, at least to me, which is really big when you're looking at a rookie quarterback coming into a system that's as complex as Josh McDaniels. Chase Garbers really he wowed me. You know what I mean? It's not that all his throws looked beautiful. You know, he wasn't just gunslinging it around the field and putting up a bunch of big numbers. It was just how he was able to take risk, but also be protective with the football, knowing when to take sacks, knowing when to adjust in and out of plays. It was pretty intriguing to see. And I think over the long term, I'd like to see Chase Garbers develop over the course of the next few seasons. Boogie says, got to create a winning culture again somehow. And you do that by winning, even if it's just the preseason. And you see the fundamentals. You see the discipline and the preparation on this defense. I mean, it really showed going against Josh McDaniels' former regime in the New England Patriots, going up against a Bill Belichick team that they look like they have a lot of questions. And the Raiders just looked, regardless of where it came down to, the Raiders just look more prepared. They look more disciplined. They look like they have the better roster. And everything just looks so intriguing for the Raiders moving into this week 1 season. I don't think you could have asked for a better preseason. You came out relatively healthy. You showed the defensive scheme of that these guys are completely bought in. Josh McDaniels looks like he has a really good offensive mind. There's just a lot of optimism moving forward into week 1. We need to pick up a swinger right tackle anyway. We have plenty of guards. Barton, I think, is a name. out of Utah looked okay. Yeah, we're going to get into the depth of the guards and the tackles here in a second. Debo says, I'm happy with the quarterback room. Garber's also had third string O-line running for his life. And yeah, and he's having all the weapons of all the guys who are fighting to make a spot on this roster. So I'm curious to see, you know what I mean? Like down the road, what Garber's could look like when he's around a lot of talent. But in the meantime, this is Derek Carr's football team, and we got a lot of football before that ever even comes to pass. Dirty says, salute Raider Ray, salute to the nation. Shout out to Dirty, man. If you guys aren't subscribed, go over to my man and subscribe to his channel. Cash Lord says he's good at getting away from pressure. And yeah, and it's not like he's panicking. He's pretty creative with his legs when the play breaks down. DeMarcus says, well, DC has Patrick Graham defenses to look at fail in practice. He used a lot of surprise coverages against him last year in New York. Long as Waller's 100% healthy and ready to go, pick your poison. Absolutely, which is why I said it's going to be fundamental for the defenses that we play. They're not going to be able to just match up with this offense. So they're going to have to, if you can't cover Devontae, you can't cover Waller, you can't cover Renfro, right? Jacobs out of the backfield. The one person you have to go after is Derek Carr. Relentless pressure and throw a lot of coverages, a lot of disguise coverages his way. Really get Derek Carr thinking, and if you can disrupt Derek Carr, then you can kind of balance out those weapons that the Raiders have on offense, and that's what I'm curious to see is can Derek Carr navigate through that when it comes to what these defenses are going to show him this year. Reese says Britton Brown played well. He did. He's had a pretty good preseason. I see him as a practice squad guy just because this running back room is so deep, you guys. And there's other places on this roster you have to allocate. Alex Leatherwood says cap hits if cut / traded over the cap. If he's cut, it's $7.8 million, which is a pretty hefty. You're eating quite a bit. 1.95 if traded, 6.5 if cut, 1.9 if traded. Look, ideally you want to trade him. Right. And especially thank you, Sean, for the cap breakdown. So I didn't have to open up a second screen and go look at those breakdowns. Ideally, you want to trade Alex. Now, at this point, Raider Nation, if you're looking at the cap space situation, if you're looking at the dead cap that's going towards the Raiders roster, don't be looking for the Raiders to go out and get a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick. At this point, if you can get a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, whatever they may be, or maybe you're getting a pick and swapping with another offensive tackle, I would take that. And we're going to get into, there's an offensive tackle that I have on my mind, and he's actually with the Patriots, and it's not Isaiah Wynn, that we're going to break down. After watching the game film again, there's a guy who stands out. It's someone that Dave Ziegler, Champ Kelly drafted and has been dealing with injuries, but now he's been healthy, had a really good offseason, has had the best training camp of his career, Bill Belichick came out and said, but he was getting runs with the 2s and into the 3s. So we're going to talk about him if he is a cut candidate, and I'm not going to drop the name quite yet because I'm going to wait to get into that. But I do have an offensive lineman who the Raiders have gone against practice this week, just went in a game and got plenty of game film. And I think it's someone that they could have their eyes on. So we'll see. We'll see. Raider Ray, do you see us signing Sue? Michael, I don't. I think Andrew Billings really emerged for the Raiders and offered you that nose tech. Jonathan Hankins came in, offered you really good run defense. And I think you give these young guys on these contracts opportunities to compete. Now, I've gone on record, Matthew Butler, Neil Farrell Jr., they're not ready. But they have developed. This last game against the Patriots, specifically Neil Farrell Jr., Matthew Butler, they got better. You know what I mean? But they're not quite ready for the starting lineup. I think Hankins, Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, those can kind of get you by for now. Now, if the Raiders start sustaining some injuries there at the interior of the defensive line, I think then you go in and address it. Really, you guys, it comes down in this defense, having a really good nose tackle like a Jonathan Hankins and Andrew Billings. And then what you're doing is you're relying on a lot of your linebackers. We've seen it this last week with Darian Butler and Luke Masterson really filling their gaps, being really disciplined, understanding the concepts and your rules of the defense, and plugging lanes. Look, the front 3 are really creating a wall, and then it's up to the linebackers to fill the gaps and really give the running back nowhere to go. And you really seen them discover open running lanes where they were able to get into the backfield and be really disruptive when it comes to run defense. So as much as the pressure is on the nose tackles this offseason, it's also going to be with the discipline of the linebackers in this defensive unit. So do we need to go get Sue? No. Would it be a sexy splash play move to get you some presence on the interior? Yeah, it would. So I'm curious to see what the Raiders decide to do at that position. But as for now, when you're talking about filling the 53-man roster, this roster is going to be fluid. The official 53 that comes out isn't even necessarily going to be the established 53. There's going to be some tweaks. There's going to be some changes. So stay tuned. Do I see the Raiders going out and getting Sue right away? I don't, but I could be wrong. So we'll just wait and see. Robert says, I can't wait to see this team offense and defense week 1. We're looking good. We are. Richard says, I think you can get a 6. If you can get a 6, you take it. Boogie says Ziegler and Champ waiting in the shadows for other teams to start cutting players next week. And that's huge. That's huge for the Raiders. Hey, all 35 of you guys, man, go over and smash that like button. As Raid the Tape says, my new friend, man, go make a play on that like button. Raphael says, what's good, Raider Nation? What's going on, Raphael? I hope you're doing good. If you guys haven't, go over and subscribe to Raphael and support other Raider content creators. He does a great job, man, and he's a really good dude. This guy had one hell of a preseason. Tashawn Bauer, 148 snaps, 12 pressures, 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 8 hurries, 7 run stops, and 2 forced fumbles. And this is a guy who's earned a spot on the roster. Look, when you give a guy an opportunity, we talked about it, and it really puts Cleland Farrell in a weird situation. Now, where Cleland Farrell's really benefiting, and I'm going to kind of get ahead of myself just because you brought this up, Sean, Cleland Farrell is in an opportunity where he hasn't put it on tape. He hasn't been there in training camp. But due to the lack of depth at that edge rush position out of Crosby, Jones, and Kuntz, and you can also throw in Bauer in that mix, there's just not that much depth. So that gives Cleland Farrell an opportunity to go out there, ride out the last season of his deal, and he's going to have to get a lot of playing time. I do think that he can bode well in this defense when it comes to the run defense. I don't think he's going to offer you much when it comes to getting after the quarterback. Historically, he's shown that over his career. I don't think that he's a premier pass rusher. I don't know if he's even going to develop to anything close to that. But you're asking him to come in here and set a really good edge, which over the course of his career, he's shown that he's offered good run defense and has set a really good edge. So hopefully Cleland Farrell can kind of translate that over into Patrick Graham's scheme and system. They even had him dropping in coverage this last game against the Patriots, which going over the film, it didn't look that great. But look, this guy was out the entire preseason. This is the first burn he's got. There's a lot to work out. Raphael says Raiders need a tackle and a linebacker as soon as possible because they've got $21 million in cap space. But do you think that Masterson is going to be a surprise on the 53? And I don't think it's going to be a surprise, Rafa. He's earned it. It's not a surprise at this point. Of the linebackers this offseason, even over a guy like Darian Butler, Luke has outperformed Darian Butler. Darian Butler would be the one that is more of a surprise to me, depending on how many guys that the Raiders are wanting to keep. And we'll get into that as I get into the 53-man roster breakdown. But look, Luke Masterson is a guy who has made plays. He's flown around on the football field. He's offered you and contributed to special teams. This is the type of guy that Dave Ziegler, Champ Kelly, Josh McDaniels, these are the guys that they used to find over there in New England who comes in and contributes right away and has an impact on the defense. And kudos to this front office, man, especially coming in on a short, almost like a short notice, right? You didn't have a complete offseason to go out there and scout and develop and do everything you need to do as a front office to get your eyes on the most players possible to bring in this offseason. But they came in and really did a good draft. I feel like they had a pretty solid draft for their circumstances. And the undrafted free agents have really come in here and really worked their tails off. GA says, oh, howdy, Ray. What is going on, GA? I'm glad that you decided to pull up, man. Robert says, Bowers made the team. He's number 4, easy. GA Patriot, Ray, if you haven't discussed it already, what are your thoughts on Masterson? I want you to hold on with me for 1 second because we're going to get into the 53-man roster, get to the defensive side of the football. I still need to cover what was going on this offense and defense of what I've seen, okay? So you guys were pretty caught up on the chat. I'm going to discuss some things that I've seen during the game, okay? Jackson Barton looks like the guy for the backup left tackle role. He's looked pretty solid if I'm being quite honest with you. When it comes to depth and it comes to I'm looking for the Raiders to keep 9 to 10 offensive linemen because I think that they're going to get creative, and due to injury, you want these guys that have been working together all offseason. You want these guys to stay together as one cohesive unit. And if you look at what the Patriots did last season, when it came to the 53-man roster breakdown, they kept 10 offensive linemen, which is something I could see them do similar to this season. Jordan Meredith has really, you guys, this is a guy I encourage you guys to go click on the film, go over to Raiders Classics. They have all 4 of the preseason games in 4K. sit down, watch the film of this offensive line, and I want you to watch Jordan Meredith, a guard, somebody who can offer you really good depth at that guard position where, look, John Simpson, Dylan Parham are out there competing. You've got Lester Cotton, who I'm not completely sold on yet. I feel like he started off the preseason really hot. And then as it's kind of gone on, there's just been some things that have popped up in his play that I'm not too fired up about. And look, if you do decide to keep in Alex Leatherwood, I can't get into that yet. I can't get into that yet. But with this guard position, you guys, you have a pretty open competition with guys going back and forth, transitioning to spots. Jordan Meredith had a really good game, and I think that he's one of those guys that don't be surprised when the 53-man roster comes out, and if they decide to keep 10 guys, that he ends up making the roster. Let's see here. DJ Turner and Keelan Cole. This was a competition that I felt throughout the entirety of the football game. DJ Turner, for me, look, I think that Keelan Cole is a better route runner. I think he has more experience in the NFL. Obviously, he's found success with the Jets and the Jaguars. However, I think with the offense that Josh McDaniels is running, when you have an established wide receiver room that we have, DJ Turner offers you a skill set that Keelan Cole doesn't, and it's special teams. It's the ability to return punts, create separation, create missed tackles. DJ Turner, I feel like, is one of those guys who's really emerged for the Raiders and has kind of earned a role for himself. You know what I'm saying? And I would like to see him. I really like what he brings to returning punts. Him and Justin Hall had pretty explosive return games, which was nice to see. Let's get Hunter Renfrow out of there, and let's put in DJ Turner. I think DJ Turner is one of those guys that probably earned his way on because of the value that he brought to special teams. And just when he catches the football, you guys, he doesn't go down on that initial contact. His lower body frame, he's built like a running back. I mean, this dude has thighs, boy. Like, this dude is built like a running back in the wide receiver position. He's versatile. You can move him inside. You can do some fun stuff on the outside when it comes to slants and screen passes. DJ Turner, to me, I feel like he's the guy, even though I like Keelan Cole as a football player. I like his route running, and I think that he really underwhelmed because of the quarterback play. There's a little bit of gun shyness when it came to these guys, and there were opportunities, specifically what game was it? When Kenyon Drake was wide open in the back of the end zone. It's crossing my mind right now, but he was jumping up and down in the back of the end zone. Jared Stidham tucked it and ran, and he was wide open in the back of the end zone. So you could have justified Keelan Cole could have had touchdowns this offseason. I do think Keelan Cole could offer you some trade value. I think because of the depth that the Raiders have created on this wide receiver room, I think that you can look at it and get something for it. Now, you can go out there and one of these wide receiver needy teams, maybe you can get a 6th-round draft pick for Keelan Cole. And look, these guys that you're already going to move on from, if you can get anything in value in return, that is a huge win, especially if you were going to release them anyway. So a guy like Kenyon Drake, unfortunately, we weren't able to find a trade partner with him. But a guy like Keelan Cole on these wide receiver needy teams, if somebody was willing to give up a 6th or a 7th conditional pick, if he makes the roster, or gets a certain amount of playing time, whatever the conditions may be, go out there and get a pick for him, because I think that that's one guy that you can go out there and do that with. Dylan Parham has developed nicely over the course of the preseason, maybe a little bit quicker than what I thought. I still don't necessarily think that he has to be a starter, but I think that he could go out there, and right now he's on par with John Simpson, and he looks a lot better out in space than what John Simpson does. So Dylan Parham might be one of those guys, hey, week 1, he's probably going to be a starting guard. I mean, I could fully see it. Like I said, that guard position is just, there's a lot of open spots. And I still think, look, over the next 2 weeks before we kick off this first game of the season, I still think that battle's not done. I think those guys still have an opportunity in practice to go out there and earn this. Okay, let me address the comments before I get into the defensive side of the football of what I've seen in this game. Robert says that I think our linebackers look good. Snoops Hernandez is in the building. Shout out to you, Snoops. Thank you for pulling up, brother. Raider Ray, Raider Nation, what is going on? Sean Johnson says Jordan Meredith would play left guard or right guard. Now, he's been swinging on both sides, Sean. He's really it's kind of like what the Raiders have shown this entire offseason, like with guys like Dylan Parham and said players, is they're putting these guys at multiple positions. And personally, I like him at that right guard spot. Now, if Dylan Parham goes in there and earns the left guard position, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Cotton and Jordan Meredith are out there competing over the next 2 weeks, just because of what I've seen on film. Like, Jordan Meredith, he's a veteran player, has some football experience, and he's put some good game film out there. You know what I mean? And with Lester Cotton, it's all about consistency, and it just kind of dropped off a little bit for me. I'm just going to be honest with you. So going into week 1, I don't think that this offensive line is established yet into who are the guaranteed starters. I think that you're going to figure a lot more of this out over the course of the next 2 weeks. James Furpo's in the building. Everybody in the chat, man. You got to do it for my man. He does this every single show. What's up, Ray? Salute Raider Nation. Salute chat. Raiders. Everybody in the chat, man. Drop a Raiders for your boy James Furpo. GA says it'll be interesting to see what changes McZiegler and other cuts. They can still bring in some guys also. Yep. After the cuts, at least 10 of our cuts get picked up. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys on this roster that go out there and earn a spot for these teams. Now, moving into the defensive side of the football, there's a lot to like about this game. It was the best defensive performance I've seen this entire preseason, especially when it came to this run defense has really developed over the course of the preseason, and it's been beautiful to watch. And a lot of it has to do with the responsibility and the discipline of these linebackers. These linebackers are going to be asked to do a lot in the Patrick Graham scheme. And I've really liked what I've seen on film. So it leads me right into Luke Masterson. I mean, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, a tackle for loss when he blew up a run play, in a crucial special teams tackle, which is why he's also going to make this roster. Because when you're looking at the depth of these 4th and 5th linebackers, historically, the Patriots, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, even Patrick Graham, these guys, when you're talking about the depth of your linebackers, they have to be able to contribute to special teams to make the roster. And I think that's exactly what's going on with the Raiders. And Luke Masterson has just balled out. He's earned that spot. He looks better to me than Darian Butler. That's not to say that Darren Butler looks that bad. I just think that Luke is just farther along. He's shown up in big times. He's a lot more secure, a lot more disciplined of a tackler than what a Darian Butler is. And I think that's why he's earned that spot. That's why he's earned that depth piece, and I could see him getting pretty significant playing time moving forward this season. Let's see. Cleland Farrell looked all right. Like I said, they put him in coverage at sometimes, and he's had straight lanes to the quarterback, and at times he'll just run straight to the running back and engaged in a battle instead of consistently pursuing the quarterback, and I don't understand why. And I understand, look, he hasn't played a lot of football yet. He hasn't been there all training camp. He's coming back from an ankle injury. He's probably shaking some rust off. But there was a play in specifically where the quarterback hikes it, and they are using a running back in pass pro. Well, Trent Brown doesn't block Cleland Farrell at all. Cleland Farrell has a straight, direct running lane to the quarterback, and instead it's like he goes to run to the quarterback, and then he veers off and just engages in a block with a running back, which it completely blew my mind. I had to go back and watch that play 6 to 7 times and just, what are you doing? Just ask myself that, like, what are you doing, Clee? Like, get after the quarterback. The angle that he had on the running back, he could have just one-armed, got that running back off of him and got a sack for himself, which I thought would have been huge. So Cleland Farrell, he succeeds in really establishing the edge. That's where Clee is going to thrive, and especially in his run defense. Amik Robertson or Sam Webb? I've been kind of critical on Amik Robertson this entire offseason, right? And he's got to step up. He's got to emerge. He's really undersized, so he's got to stay balanced. He's got to stay in the technique of the defense and show some cover ability. Now, this game, I thought he offered a lot when it come to run defense, blowing up running lanes. They sent him on a blitz one play that looked actually pretty good, which is why I like the creativity of Patrick Graham's defense this year. He's going to engage his defensive backs with a lot more pressures. But look, Amik Robertson and Sam Webb, look, if you're going to ask me, when it comes based solely on coverage and scheme fit, I'm going to go with Sam Webb. I just like what he offers you. Yeah, has he let up a play or two here or there? Yes, but he's been sticky in coverage. He's a really solid tackler. He's got his hands on he's got PBUs. He's been able to get his head in there and create a turnover. Sam Webb has just shown up week after week. And it was like when Amik Robinson would make a play, then Sam Webb would come back and make a play and just kind of go back and forth. And those guys are competing. So if the Raiders only keep 6 defensive backs, I'm going to edge Sam Webb over Amik Robertson, which is, we'll see how it plays out. I could be wrong. But moving forward, that's what I see. So before I get into the 53-man roster, you guys go over there and smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. We're dropping shows and content weekly. Matter of fact, this week, one of the videos blew up of the offensive line, man. I think we got over like 3,000 views. We just did a Darren Waller video that's knocking on the door of 1,000 views. So shout out to Raider Nation. And when these live streams end, you guys, it's super, super good for the algorithm. If you guys go out of here, like the video, and leave comments. So don't just be active here in the live chat. When this show ends, just go over there and let me know that you guys enjoyed the show. It goes a long way for this channel. And that's all I ask of you guys. So I love you guys and I appreciate that. So a potential Patriot release player. Now, I was talking about it at the top of the show about a guy that Dave Ziegler has helped gone out there and draft. These scouts have already got all their information on him. And it's Yadni Kajust, okay? And this guy was taken in the 3rd round. He's 26 years old. He has 1 year left on his deal. His first 2 years in the NFL, he dealt with knee injuries and I think a quadricep injury. So he hasn't got a lot of playing time on the field, but this offseason he's been healthy. And because of the whole situation with Isaiah Wynn going on, he's been getting a lot of opportunities in training camp, and he's really been thriving. However, he's still getting burned with the 2nd team and 3rd team units. So I'm curious to see if the Patriots have some bodies going in there, or even if, say, the Raiders were wanting to trade in Alex Leatherwood and you were going to do it for a player for a late round draft pick. Yadni Kajust is one of those guys. He's 6'5", 310 pounds. He just anchored really well. He played with good hands. He led up a sack to Zach Van Valkenburg, but the play would already broke down. Guys are kind of running in the backfield, a lot of unblocked guys, so it wasn't necessarily all on him, but he looked really solid, you guys. Got his hands, moved guys up into the 2nd level, really has a good kick slide, good with his feet. He's just one of those guys to keep an eye on because Josh McDaniels just got a lot of time in practice with him. They drafted him, so they have familiarity with him. Reminds me a lot of the James Illuminor situation. So if you wanted to go out and get a backup right tackle to kind of fill in, I think that you could do just that. So really, guys, that breaks down my views of overall wrapping up the last preseason game. Look, the Raiders had a great offseason. They've had a fantastic preseason. And I don't think that there's been more hype going into a Raiders season than there is this year. So I need to address some of these chats before we get into the 53-man roster. George says, "What's good, Ray? Salute." Shout out to you, George. I could see a trade offered for one of our running backs as well. That could be a situation. GA says, "Raiders practice squad is my 2nd favorite pro team." Yeah, no kidding, man. It's going to be a pretty deep practice squad. Graham's defensive schemes are legit. I'm excited for the season. Facts, bro. This scheme is – I have not been this excited about a defense in a very, very long time, Snoop. So, yeah, Patrick Graham is doing his thing, man. He's getting creative, even in preseason. I mean, he's showing a lot of formations, but still keeping a lot of things pretty simplified for these guys. Arnold says, "Discipline, less penalties, not killing our drives or prolonging our opponents." And you've got to love it. That goes back to the accountability, the discipline, the preparation. These guys are this is not the same Raiders of the past, you guys. This looks like a team ready to make some noise, ready to make a push for the playoffs, ready to compete with those best teams in the NFL. And let's go out there and make a run at this thing, man. Our young studs are playing good. CB, linebacker, Bauer, Webb, for sure. Facts. Daniel says, "It's amazing how well we did running a vanilla defense and offense. It speaks volume to their attention to detail, execution, and precision." Absolutely. The preparation has been absolutely phenomenal. This team has never looked more prepared to me. Josh McDaniels, my hat goes off to him, man. I know he took a lot of criticism when he got hired. A lot of Raider Nation was up in the air, but I think looking back, 10 years down the road, I think we're going to look back and say this was probably one of the best moves the Raiders organization has made in the last 20 to 30 years. I'm just going to be completely honest. He just looks the part. We talk about this channel all the time. His timing is absolutely everything. Dave Ziegler is coming right into the right time of his career where he's really emerging as a really good talent evaluator. Champ Kelly, assistant GM. He's a guy that is really good at finding talent late in the draft who's probably going to go on next season to be a general manager of another football team. You got Josh McDaniels with guys like Coach Brasillo and Patrick Graham, someone who's eventually going to earn a head coaching job. You have an extremely good coaching staff, and the Raiders have just absolutely nailed this offseason. So, Raider Nation, you should be fired up going into week 1, more so than ever, man. When those primetime lights come on and the Raiders are coming out of that tunnel, man, there is going to be an energy, there is going to be a swagger, there is going to be a juice that we have not felt in times past. So, Be fired up, be ready, and stay tuned to Raider Raid because we're going to be along for the ride this entire journey. GA Patriot says, Webb has been more consistent than Amik, and I agree with that 110%. Webb has improved every week. I agree, Kevin. Sam Webb, Daniel says, I agree. I watched the game on Raiders Classics, and wow, I love the way we look. Is it just me or does New England look like the Raiders of past years? And we are the committing to I like that, James. I do. I think Josh McDaniels is just finding his rhythm. He's finding his groove. He's hitting this at the right time. Like I said, he's just finding a right team at the right time with a winning environment, who had an established roster, who went 10-7 last year. You come in, you throw your scheme at it. You have a veteran quarterback. You bring in the best wide receiver in football. You've got defensive ends like a Chandler Jones, a Max Crosby. There's a lot to work with. There's a lot to build with, and it's just one of those perfect situations that Josh struck at the opportunity at just the right time, and I think it's going to benefit the Raiders. But Amik balled out yesterday. Amik balled out when it came to run defense, I believe. He was aggressive with tackling. He was aggressive when he was sent on blitzes. You got to go watch it and watch the coverage breakdowns. There's a play here and there where he had good coverage, but still overall, he's thinking too much. And that's been my problem with Amik, is Amik thinks too much on the field, and I see it in his film. He's just hesitant. He hesitates, and he's in between the ears too much. If he would get back to the place to where he was with LA Tech, where he goes out there and creates 14 turnovers, that's the Amik Robertson we need. We need the free thinker. We need the guy who's out there roaming and making plays and getting aggressive, making tackles. That's the Amik Robertson I want. I like the kid who made an interception yesterday and who played wide receiver on our team. You're talking about Isaiah Zuber? Yeah, that was a really bad pass, though. I like the interception. I like that he created a turnover, and Patrick Graham has done that before. The Patriots organization has done that before, where they'll take a depth wide receiver, throw him in at that safety role on a 3rd and long, and make him go out there, read the quarterback's eyes, and make a play. And that's what you've seen is Isaiah Zuber out there making a play. GA says, everybody like and subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent to support Ray that way. Absolutely, man. We don't ask you guys for nothing, man. Go out, subscribe to the channel, smash it with a like button, and let me know in the comment section below. Are you guys having a good time tonight? You know what I mean? There's 38 of you. If you guys are having a good time tonight, man, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. I live in Chattanooga area. Cole Strange is going to be a sneaky good pick for Belichick. Yeah, he is. He is going to be a pretty good sneaky asset. Raiders top 5 offense. PFF Lester Cotton 90 and 14 snaps. Jackson Barton 82. Jesper Horsted 73. Tyron Johnson 72. Brandon Brown 72. So you guys see it for yourselves. Some guys had some pretty good days. Bottom, Dylan Stoner, Nick Bowers, Bam Osalene, Alex Leatherwood, John Simpson. Exactly. And this tells you where these guys are at on the roster. Thank you, Sean, for this, because it gives a visual for the chat to see kind of what I've been piggybacking saying. I say that our best offseason pickup was McDaniels, without a shadow of a doubt. And a lot of this doesn't happen without them. And with McDaniels came Patrick Graham, came Dave Ziegler, came Champ Kelly, came Devontae, came Chandler Jones. I mean, Masterson, all these guys, right? All these guys. Antonio Pierce. 90.7 for Cotton. You know, I'd have to go back, you guys, and really look at his game film on that. This last game, he had a good game. It was the 2 games previous, so you're just like, he got beat with an over-under move, swam inside and let up a sack. A lot of people thought it was on Alex Leatherwood, but it was actually on Lester Cotton. The ability to pick up stunts is what I'm trying to look for with Lester Cotton as well. There's just a lot more deeper things than just pass rep, run rep. There's a lot of things that break down when you're watching film. Graham and Rob Ryan's knowledge is showing. Graham's accountability and Ryan keeping the players enjoying the coaching. Yeah, and being aggressive and not getting so passive, right? Not running such a vanilla concept, not getting lazy in coverage. And these guys just look disciplined. You got Roderick Teamer communicating on the back end. You got guys like Sam Webb talking with his DBs. That's something that we didn't see in previous regimes like John Gruden. A lot of guys weren't out there talking. When we had the Damon Arnett's, the Gary and Conleys of the world, these guys just would not communicate. The really big communicator that emerged last season was Trayvon Moehrig, Jonathan Abram. Those guys really made sure. Casey Hayward. Those guys really started bringing a communication aspect, and I thought you've seen some benefits from it. It's nice to see a preseason game, a 4th preseason game, where guys are communicating and getting each other in the best places to succeed, because it's just unselfish football. It's just disciplined. It looks good. Like a lot of these guys are going to earn places. A lot of these guys are going to earn a spot on other teams, man. I agree, James. The Patriots and the Raiders feel like they changed places. Now we're the better coach and discipline. Matt Patricia's, Belichick's, Greg Olson. I like that. It is true, bro. Debo says, always enjoy your takes. Well, I appreciate that, brother. Hit the showers, Leatherwood. Absolutely. That boy's stinking. That boy's game tape is stinky. Belichick is too old. He's never going to win another one without Brady. Hey, I hope not. I hope not. Just got back home from Vegas about an hour ago. Had a great weekend. I ran into Denzel Parham in the liquor store. Oh no, he was paying for everyone's beer, smokes, whatever you wanted. Well, I mean, I guess that's cool. I don't necessarily want to hear that he's at the liquor store, but that's cool, man. That's cool, Anthony, that you ran into him. I hope you got to say hi or get a picture or something with him. Courtney, what's going on, brother? I'm glad you decided to pull up. 41 of you guys, go smash that like button, man. We should have 41 likes and up. Somebody let me know how many likes we got. One of the moderators, we got 43 people in here. We should have 43 likes, man. So moderators, go and let me know what we got. That way, chat, go get yours, man. Go earn your preseason reps, man. We should be hitting 100 for 100. What's going on, Courtney? Brady showing why he's the GOAT. Oh, we ain't even going to talk about that. He's a good football player. I'll give him his kudos, but I don't even want to talk about that dude, especially what he said about DC. Saul Raiders Hernandez says, I was at the game yesterday and felt like a regular season game. Dude, Raider Nation pulled up. Raider Nation showed out. That was the deepest preseason game I think I've ever seen. And it just felt like the atmosphere would just felt like a real regular season game. Like, so yeah, it just justifies everything that I seen on screen. Cotton looked great on screenplays in the Hall of Fame game, but he seemed to drop off the last 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what I've seen on film as well. He just doesn't look. We'll get into that in a little bit. Alex Leatherwood, who played 47 snaps last night, recorded a 42.9 PFF grade, 31.1 mark in pass protection. He allowed 1 sack, 4 hurries, and 5 pressures. Look, you guys, let's talk about Alex real quick, okay? Actually, let me call up with these and I'll talk about Alex. I think the regime is way better teacher coaches than Gruden and Cable, without a shadow of a doubt. Noble Raiders pass rush win rate. Butler 16.1, 32, 5 pressures hit, 4 hurries. Bowers 15.6, 33, 2 pressures, 2 sacks. Hurry Farrell 3 pressures, 3 hurries. Neil Farrell Jr. had a pretty good game when it came to creating players. I think he actually developed pretty nicely. But these guys still need to learn how to disengage on rep after rep. There's a lot of times where they're just standing there, and them and the offensive linemen, it's like they're playing patty cake. You need to disengage and get after the quarterback. That's what Raiders football is all about, and that's where I want to see these guys develop. Saul says Leatherwood still isn't looking good. I agree. I can't remember a Raider game when we only had 1 penalty. Facts. Went to the game yesterday, first ever Raider game. Oh, that's awesome, Mustafa. That's awesome, man. Yeah, DeMarcus says Denzel at the liquor store. Yeah, you don't want that, boy. Unfortunately, Leatherwood is mentally broke. No confidence is tagged. Okay, and this is where I wanted to get into with Alex Leatherwood. So look, Alex Leatherwood, man, it just looks like he's a mentally broken player. And when you're a regime, when you're a coaching staff like Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, when you get a player like this who's a first-round draft pick, he's not there mentally, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions. Is this something that we can salvage? Can we help Alex? Can we maybe turn this into a long-term project? Do we kick him inside to guard? And look, to me, it's not even everything that's going on between Alex's eyes. Whatever it is going on in his head, it's translating onto the film, and you can't do that. And he just looks like a broken player. It looks like he needs a fresh start, and I don't think it's with the Raiders. I really personally don't. I don't know what's going on with Alex's personal life. I don't know what he's got going on situationally, but it's not looking good, and I could tell that the Raiders organization is a little bit fed up with it. So in my opinion, you find a way to make a trade cut candidate, even if you go out there and get a backup swing tackle, because really, let's be honest, that's what Alex Leatherwood is right now at this point. He's going to be a backup tackle. He's played left guard in college. He played right guard position last year. He's obviously got reps at the right tackle, so he's kind of been a little bit of a Swiss Army knife in that aspect, probably playing his best football at the right guard position. At this point, Raider Nation, why are you just gonna hold on to something that's not right? You're putting a square peg into a round hole over and over and over. And you're looking for something to change, and it's just not going to change. At least I don't think it's going to change within this next season. So if you're looking at this, like I said, as a long-term project, go ahead and do that. But at the salary that he's put, move him onto an organization that thinks that they could put him in a situation to find success and get an asset back for him. You know what I mean? Get a backup tackle. Go out there and create some depth on your roster. Maybe go trade for a defensive tackle. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways that you can go about this. And I don't want to be the guy to say, hey, let's give up on Alex Leatherwood. I don't ever want to see that, right? I don't want to give up on a guy that has the potential, is flashing it on film, and has the capabilities. But the problem is he's not showing that. He isn't showing that. And everybody always wants to compare Alex Leatherwood to a Colton Miller situation, and they're two complete situations to discuss. Colton Miller was showing progress. He was suffered with a ton of injuries his rookie season. He goes into the sophomore season, put better film out there than his rookie year, and then over the years has just developed into one of the better left tackles in the league. Alex Leatherwood has stayed healthy consistently. It's just his development has not been coming on over the years. So yeah, it's only year 2. It's still really early in his career. He has a ton of potential. He has all the measurables you could ever want in a tackle and a guard. He comes out of the big prestigious college, right? And looking back, Alex Leatherwood, say year 5, year 6, maybe the light comes on and he's out there balling out with another organization, and he's playing like the player that you always thought he was supposed to be with the Raiders. It's just not right now. And right now, with the win now window open, you have to go out there and put the best 5 starting lineup on the football field at all times. And it's not Alex Leatherwood. It's just not. So you go out there and put a Jermaine Illuminor. Everybody that's been following this channel, man, we know that we've been talking about Jermaine all offseason, that how I could see him earning a potential starting spot. And as the preseason games came along, I said, look, there's your right tackle right there. And he's an above average right tackle. Had a phenomenal offseason, got his diet under control, really good at timing the snaps. If you go back and watch the film of this last game, there could be times where you could almost potentially say, hey, that looked like it was almost like a false start. You know what I mean? He's coming off the ball so quickly, but he's got the timing with the quarterbacks down. He's timing his cadence. He's timing his snaps. He's explosive out of his set, getting his hands on people. Jermaine Illuminor is your right tackle, and I think that right tackle position is solidified. If Illuminor can stay healthy, you're going to be okay at right tackle. Now it's more like the guard positions. I'm curious to see about, especially John Simpson and a Lester Cotton. Raider Joe says, salute Raider Ray. You've been doing big things. It's great to see, bro. Hey, I appreciate that, Raider Joe. Shout out to Raider Joe, man. If you guys haven't, go subscribe to my brother. He puts out some great content. I've had some conversations with him as well. Hey, Raider Joe, sometime we're going to have to get you on the show, man, and just talk Raider football, maybe get a panel going and just get some minds together. The football season hasn't even really, you know what I mean? Week 1 hasn't even started yet, so there's plenty of time to get with some guys. I appreciate your love and support, brother. I really do. I think Leatherwood's mental game would benefit from a change of scenery. If he could get traded, it might be good for him. I agree. I agree, brother. I know preseason games are scrimmages, but our Raiders went 4-0 for the first time in franchise history. This upcoming season is going to be off the hook. Facts, Snoop. Facts. I love it, brother. I love it. That is so true. Daniel says a blunt rusted Swiss Army knife. Facts. Hey, when I said Swiss Army knife, I'm just saying he's played a multitude of positions. I didn't say he was doing it good. He ain't shiny. He is a little bit rusty. Leatherwood's getting so many preseason snaps does not bode well for his place on the roster. No, when a first-round draft pick is playing late into the 4th quarter of the 4th preseason, the Raiders are actively shopping Alex Leatherwood. That's what was happening. The Raiders were actively shopping Alex Leatherwood. He's on the market, you guys. If a team calls and said, hey, we're going to throw you a 5th-round pick and maybe a backup right tackle, or hey, we're going to throw you a 5th-round pick, would you come off of that contract? I think the Raiders go out there and do it. I'm not even going to lie. I know it may not sound like a lot, but that is what it is. Maybe if it's in the best interest to trade him, then why we should buy, I agree. Try to work with him, but maybe a fresh start somewhere, mentally refresh him. And I think that's the best start for him. Hire John Ritchie to teach Leatherwood how to play with attitude. Yeah, no kidding. He needs more than that, though, bro. There's something going on in his head. Daniel can exactly, absolutely no growth from game to game. He's mentally weak and can't deal with the pressure. Yeah. So let's get into the 53-man roster, you guys. This is what you guys have been waiting for. We got 41 of you guys. Just go smash the like button, man. Make a play like Raid the Tape says. And if you guys enjoyed the Raid the Tape, let me know so maybe we can get him on again. I really enjoyed sitting down talking to him. I want to get Farrell on the show again. I want to talk to OG as well again. There's a lot of people. I want to talk to Andy as well. I had a good time talking to Andy. So reach out to your favorite content creators, man. Go over to Ray the Tape and let them know you want to talk to Raider Ray again. Go over to Andy, let them know that you guys want to see him talk. Go to Farrell, all those guys, man. Subscribe to their channel. They're great at what they do. So smash that like button, man. We're gonna get into the 53-man roster, starting with the offensive line. Let me take a drink here. Okay. Starting with the quarterback position, y'all. Obviously, Derek Carr and Jared Stidham are your guys. We don't have to spend too much time on that. Running backs, I got us actually keeping 4, and then the fullback, so 5 total backs. Jacobs, White, Bolden, and Abdullah. You could put a Brandon Brown on the practice squad. Austin Walters, also a guy that you could probably put on there. And you're going to grant it, one of those guys are probably going to get picked up, probably Britton Brown, which leaves you with Austin Walters stashed on the practice squad. So we'll see how the running back situation plays out. With New England type, with Josh McDaniels, this can go a multitude of ways. So with the quarterback position, Carr, Stidham, Jacobs, White, Bolden, Abdullah, there's 6 right off the bat. The wide receiver room, we've got Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Mac Hollins. He didn't dress up for the final 4th week of the preseason, which tells me he's obviously a lock to make the roster. Tyron Johnson, DJ Turner, and in parentheses, I've got players in parentheses. So when I tell you they're in parentheses, it's if the Raiders decide to keep, say, 6 players at that position. Now, I have the Raiders keeping 5 right now, but if they are to keep 6 and they don't trade away Keelan Cole, I see Keelan Cole making the roster. So Hollins, Tyron Johnson, a.k.a. T. Billy, and DJ Turner, those guys are the locks to make the team for me. And if the Raiders keep 6, I'm going to go with Keelan Cole. The tight end position, I see us only keeping 3, you guys. This is what the Patriots did last season. I don't see us keeping 4 tight ends. The only way I see us keeping 4 tight ends, Raider Nation, is if there is a real situation going on with Darren Waller. Now, I'm pretty confident Waller's going to be there for week 1, ready to go and ready to play football with or without the contract. I think that's why you've seen him kind of just wash hands with his agent. I truly believe that you're going to see Darren Waller on the field for week 1, so I'm not necessarily hitting the panic button quite yet, but I've got Darren Waller, Foster Moreau, and Horsted. And in parentheses, if they decide to keep another one, I've got them keeping Hollister. So Horsted, I feel like just had a better preseason, really emerged late, showed you what he can do with his skill sets, and I think he kind of emerged a little bit. And let me put it this way. There was a reason why the tight ends were utilized pretty heavily against the Patriots. And I'm kind of curious to see if they're getting a look at these tight ends, just in case there is a situation going on with Darren Waller. They want to see who the best guy is. So that was kind of intriguing to me when I was breaking down film, and I was like, more so than what they were doing earlier in the preseason. They're targeting these tight ends and asking them to do a lot more. So they're trying to get a better look at the tight end position, which is it's just adding a little bit more seasoning to this entire Darren Waller situation. So moving on to the offensive line, I've got left tackle Colton Miller and Jackson Barton. Those are my backup. That's my starting left tackle and backup left tackle. The guards, I've got Lester Cotton, Dylan Parham, John Simpson, and Jordan Meredith. Those are the guys that I see at center. I've got Andre James, obviously, and then your backup center is going to be a Dylan Parham in case anything were to happen with Andre James. Right tackle, I've got Jermaine Illuminor, Thayer Mumford, and in parentheses, I have Alex Leatherwood. So right there was 9. If they keep Alex Leatherwood and they don't trade him away, Alex Leatherwood obviously makes the roster at that right tackle, right guard position. But I have him in parentheses because I feel like the Raiders could go out there, move on from him, go get a backup swing tackle from one of these guys that are released or in a potential trade, and he's not necessarily on the roster anymore. So honestly, Alex Leatherwood is one of those surprise candidates. Him and Cleland Farrell, these are 2 former first-round draft picks of what are you going to do with them? Where are these guys going to line up? Are you going to potentially put them on the market? I don't know. There's a lot that's going to happen by today and Tuesday, so we need to stay tuned, especially to the offensive line. Let me address the comments, man. So that was the offensive side of the football. So we got Derek Carr, Jared Stidham, Jacobs, Zamir White, Brandon Bolden, and Abdullah. Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Mac Hollins, Tyron Johnson, DJ Turner, maybe Keelan Cole, Waller, Moreau, Horsted, Colton Miller, Jackson Barton, Lester Cotton, Dylan Parham, John Simpson, Jordan Meredith, Andre James, Jermaine Illuminor, Thayer Mumford, and potentially an Alex Leatherwood. That's your starting offense. That's your guys' guy. Okay, defensively. Let's start with the defensive end position. Actually, let me get into these comments. Let me address you guys real quick. Raider Chaos says, just wanted to say that was a great show you had with Ray the Tape. Hey, I appreciate that, brother. I think that the more that we get to sit down and talk to each other, I wasn't feeling very well that night, you guys. I was just really kind of like under the radar. My energy was really low, but I was just grateful that he was able to create some time. and I was really busy running my business, and it was just a really, really long day. So I promise you guys, I know it was a good show. Everybody's told me nothing but good things about the show. But next time I'm looking to bring even more energy, even more passion, and just we're gonna make a good show. So let Ray the Tape know that you want him to talk to that you want him to talk to Raider Ray. Anthony says I met Andy, Samoan, Hammer, and Graphic at the Atalanto event today. That's cool, Anthony. That's awesome. Reach out to Stuart Steiger, former Raider player, to come onto your show. I might have to do that. I would like to. I'd be curious to see if I'd be curious to see how he does, man. If he would be willing to come onto the show. Raider, no, I know you dig potting with other cats, but my beg is that you stay on your own and keep your own voice. Raiders. I do too. Look, I'm in my own lane, and really, I just try to create an avenue where I can get voices from your favorite content creators and get their aspect and perspective. Even though I may not agree with everything that they see on this roster, I just want to get in the heads of these content creators and just see where they're really at when it comes to knowledge of the Raiders roster. And that's all I'm trying to do, man, is sit down and talk about the Raiders. But, man, I'm trying to stay in my own lane. I feel like we've created something special over here, and we're just going to continue to keep building it. And it's a huge shout-out to you, Raider Nation. You guys have been so faithful from the jump. And, look, I'm on the road to 1,000, so share this with everybody that you know. Let other people know about this channel. You know what I mean? We only have 100 and some subscribers to go before week 1, and we hit that 1,000 mark, which means we could do a lot more stuff on the show. And it's really a goal that I set out for September 11th is to have 1,000 subscribers. So I've really been putting in the work, really trying to bring you guys really good, solid Raiders content. So let everybody know about this, man. Share this live show with those who you know are Raider fans, and let's just build this thing organically, man. Ray, did you see Andy's video with Stu, film study on Abram? Interesting to see a former pro. I haven't watched it. No, I haven't watched it. I'll have to go check it out. Coaching and management staff A1. They know it's smart to keep Waller on ice. Darren Waller playing week 1. Book it. Facts. That was my prediction as well in my Darren Waller video I dropped this week. Don't worry about it. He's going to be out there playing football. He said it wasn't cracking it, but it was cool to meet Mount Shieldmore and Simone. Oh, that's yeah. I appreciate the show, bro. Keep it up for real. I appreciate you too, bro. I really do. Clee just didn't get enough chances in the preseason. Tough to call. Yeah, he didn't. And he's going to get some more burn. DeMarcus says Ray and Wasted would be fired too. We'll see. I've kind of talked to Wasted behind the scenes as well. We'll see if we can't work something out eventually. Daniel says Clee has one move, a bull rush. And that's been the contrast between him and Max is so wide. Yeah, facts. It seems like he only has one move. Ray, Stu would be a little wild for you. Yeah, I'm pretty chill, dude. I run a pretty clean show. I like this show to be clean about Raiders football. That's not to say that Stu. I think Stu is a professional. I think he could do that. So, he might be wild. Look, I let people be them, man. I'm not here to judge that. So, everybody can be themselves. I do try to run a clean show, though. I try to be a Raiders content that's all about Raiders content. And when the family's around, you can feel comfortable playing my content and not have to worry about, having to turn it down and kids not hearing it. I like to keep things clean, man. I've got kids, I've got family, I've got everything watching this show, man. So I want to be professional and clean. Ray, I like your 53 roster. Can't wait to see how close you were. Keep up the good content. I appreciate that. So let's move over. We're 58 minutes in, man. There's 36 of you, 38 of you, almost 40. It just keeps jumping up. Go over there, smash and subscribe. We're going to get into the defensive side of the football, man. Starting with the defensive end position, obviously. The potential defensive player of the year, Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Malcolm Kuntz, Cleland Farrell I've got making the roster just because lack of depth, and Bowers. Bowers earned a spot, man. I mean, Sean pulled up the facts earlier. This man has gone out there and earned a spot on this roster, and he just has shown a lot more than Cleland Farrell did in his – he's got more sacks than Cleland Farrell does probably in his entire career just in the preseason. So, yeah, Bauer's that guy. Defensive tackle, Jonathan Hankins, Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, a guy who's really emerged, you guys. Andrew Billings has an extremely good film. I encourage you guys to go watch it. Really emerged as that nose tech. Nasty when it came to red zone defense. Him and Jonathan Hankins, when it comes to putting the big men out there, when it comes to red zone, is going to be really fun to watch. Neil Farrell Jr., Matthew Butler, the two young rooks. They still got a lot to go in progression, but obviously they're going to make the roster, and they're going to have a chance to really develop. Linebackers, Denzel Perryman, Jayon Brown, another one of our videos that has like almost 5,000 views, man, just kind of blew up. Jayon Brown, from the moment we signed him, I told you guys he was going to be an extremely good value piece. $1.2 million type of contract, just brings a lot when it comes to coverage, a lot of versatility. If his knee issue is kind of straightened out and he's healthy, Jayon Brown is going to offer you turnovers this year, which is going to be huge for the Raiders defense. And we've already seen it this early preseason. Jayon Brown's going to be a major contributor to this defense. Divine Diablo, another young guy who's really emerged, has had a kind of quiet preseason, but I think the Raiders are pretty confident in what they have in Divine Diablo. And then I've got Luke Masterson. Luke Masterson went out there and earned that spot. And in parentheses, I put Darian Butler. I don't know if they're going to want to go out here and keep 4 linebackers, 5 linebackers. I could see him keeping 5, which squeaks Darian Butler onto the roster. But Darian Butler's in parentheses because I think Luke Masterson just went out there all preseason, man. They kind of went back and forth on this battle. But over the last 2 weeks of the preseason, Luke Masterson has just separated himself. Really good tackler, really good special teamer, plays defenses. You can tell he's got the green dot, getting guys lined up, getting them put in position. Very, very, very impressive for a young linebacker. The defensive back room, I've got Trayvon Mullen, Nate Hobbs, Rock Ya-Sin, Anthony Avery. That's a solid starting 4 lineup, Raider Nation. And especially if this front 7 can get after the quarterbacks this year. You're talking about a 4-deep cornerback room that's actually pretty solid. I know it's been a lot of question marks this offseason, but those 4 players right there, that is a huge, huge cornerback room. It's like I said, especially if we can get after the quarterback. Then I've got Darius Phillips. He didn't dress for the 4th preseason game, which tells me with his skill set on special teams, his ability to contribute on the depth in the back end of this roster, he's shown to be a sure tackler, good in coverage. Darius Phillips has earned his spot on the roster. And then it was down to Amik and Sam Webb, and I leaned more towards Sam Webb. I just like what he brings. I think that he's kind of young and raw, but you can kind of morph him moving forward and really use him as a depth piece and coverage. I like Sam Webb. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick Amik Robertson over Sam. Maybe Patrick Graham likes the ability to get Amik Robertson on blitzes and get him involved in the run game because he is an aggressive tackler. It's going to be a coin flip. So Amik would not surprise me to see Amik make it over Sam. But my gut tells me when I watch the game film that Sam Webb is going to be the guy to edge out Amik Robertson. He's just been more consistent, more disciplined, better coverage skills, good tackler. I just like Sam Webb right now. I think he's gone out there and earned a spot. The safety position is Jonathan Abram, Daron Harmon, Trayvon Morag, and Roderick Teamer. And with the trading of Tyree Gillespie was one of those guys who I thought early in the offseason was like, hey, this guy's going to be a good force safety on the team, and the Raiders have a good depth at that position. But now Roderick Teamer has really emerged, another guy who offers you special teams ability. And, that is kind of the theme, right, Raider Nation, is that if you can offer yourself depth and contribute to the back end of this roster, but also be heavily involved in special teams, it's almost like you have an edge with this front office, with this coaching staff. They really, really value special teams. And that's why a lot of these guys, when you're looking at the last roster spots, Luke Masterson, Sam Webb, Roderick Teamer, guys like this, DJ Turner, you know what I mean? Darius Phillips, all these guys offer you really good assets when it comes to coverage ability and especially gunners and everything in special teams. So that is what's separating these guys from me making the roster. And obviously, you guys, we've got the special teams. AJ Cole, Trent Sieg, Daniel Carlson, those are all locks. We all know that they were going to make it. But really, Raider Nation, that is my defensive lineup. We'll go over it one more time. Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Kuntz, Klee, Bowers, Hankins, Nichols, Billings, Farrell Jr., Matthew Butler, Denzel Perryman, Jayon Brown, Divine Diablo, Luke Masterson, Darian Butler, potentially, Trayvon Mullen, Nate Hobbs, Rock Ya-Sin, Anthony Avery, Darius Phillips, and Sam Webb, edging out Amik Robertson, Jonathan Abram, Daron Harmon, Trayvon Merrick, Roderick Teamer, AJ Cole, Trent Sieg, and Daniel Carlson. And that wraps up my 53-man roster, and really a 53-man roster that is built, loaded with depth, really unique skill sets, really unique talents. And honestly, it's the best roster that I've seen on paper for the Raiders in quite some time. And it should fire up Raider Nation. We're going to get down into the comment section. I'm going to address this. We've been going for an hour. I don't want to keep you guys too long, man. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Does Palomoa and Cosby make the team 40 and 44? No, I don't see it. Nope. I do think that they're going to be released, my friend. Bowers deserves to make the team and number 59, and they both will. They will, James. Both of those guys are going to be locks to make the team. I could assure you that. Ray, in formations, where do you think T. Billy would be most effective, outside wide receiver or in the slot? This is going to be your outside, more like your Z type of receiver, right? You're going to ask him to do go balls, really stretch the field, deep crossers over the middle of the football field. Tyron Johnson just has that ability to unlock formations in this offense and really scheme guys open. Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, you're taking a safety over the top. You're really pulling the defense and stretching them out down the course of the field so guys like Hunter Renfrow can do what they do best. Get creative with their route running, really pick apart teams. You guys over the middle of the field is where you're going to see the Raiders just really eat a lot of defenses apart. When you got route runners like Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, big body tight end, probably the best tight end in football, and Darren Waller, you're really going to be able to match up really well and attack the middle of field. Tyron Johnson just gives you that ability that every defense allocating that much coverage to all those big time offensive weapons, he's got the ability to take the top off. So you have to earn the respect. You have to almost put a safety over the top of him, because if you go one-on-one with Tyron Johnson, he just has that speed that these other defensive backs don't have. Very few of them have. So Tyron Johnson's going to have an ability, especially with Derek Carr getting the ball, has a big cannon of an arm. He can really stretch the field and get the ball downfield. And I think that Tyron Johnson, a.k.a. T. Billy, he's going to be in for a pretty special season. Now, he's not going to come in and have some 600 yards or anything like that, but it's going to be big-time moments and big-time football games where the Raiders need a really big play, and Derek Carr can kind of let the arm go a little bit and really stretch this play out. So that's where I see T. Billy lining up, DeMarcus. I'm excited for our defense. I think they're a surprise a lot of folks, top 15. I do think that they could be a top 15. I really do, bro. I really do think that. What's good, Raider Dangerfield? What is going on, my friend, man? There's just too many Raiders. All my words start running together. It's like Raider this, Raider that. Luke Masterson is good. Guy flies all over the field. Absolutely, Anthony. He's going to make he's already made it. Raider Scout dropped something on Instagram about Luke Masterson has been told that he's made the 53-man roster. So shout out to Luke Masterson, man, for putting in the work this offseason and really jumping off on film. So far, the top pickups in the NFL: JMD, Josh McDaniels, Devontae Jones, Patrick Graham, Ziegler. And you could even put 1 and 2, Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, because they had the audacity to go out there, then get the Devontae, and then go out there and sign the Chandler Jones. And then Patrick Graham could probably be on the back end of that. Oh, he said no order. Okay, yeah, I get it. Webb is a baller. It's nice to know that we finally keep players that balled out in preseason. I've seen us not kept the good players years in and years out. Yeah, and that's the foundation of this football team now is, look, regardless if you're the first round or the top free agent signee, or you're an undrafted free agent or a low bargain bin signing like a Jayon Brown, a $1.2 million deal, the best player is going to go out there and compete for the roster spot, and they're going to make the team. You got to love that, because it lets every single player around the National Football League know that, hey, when I come and play for the Raiders, if I do my job and I ball out and I show the organization what I can do on the field, I have a real opportunity of making the roster and getting significant playing time. So you have to love that, not only from the personnel decisions of keeping guys on the roster, but you have to look at it from even a bigger picture view of how other players are going to view the Raiders organization. And it's going to be a destination where they're going to want to come and play for Josh McDaniels. Our back end is going to run with and cover with everyone. Deep, wide blanket. I like that. I like that take, man. I think Webb outplayed Amik in the preseason. I agree with you completely, brother. GA says Abram really looked good in the preseason. Can't wait to see him grow under Patrick Graham. And look, that was another guy that we talked about this offseason, was get him up to the line of scrimmage, get him disruptive. We did a film breakdown on Jonathan Abram a while back. A lot of you guys may have not have seen it, but I have a video about Jonathan Abram, and it's a film breakdown of how aggressive he is behind the line of scrimmage and how I wanted Patrick Graham and previous defensive coordinators to get Jonathan Abram after the quarterback, get him involved in run defense, get him involved in man coverage, guarding running backs out of the backfield, and to really blow up those screen plays. That is where Jonathan Abram has really made his money. And you're seeing that moving forward. Is Jonathan Abram has a real opportunity to have a fantastic season under Patrick Graham. And honestly, of those first round draft picks, Jonathan Abram honestly might earn himself a contract. You know what I mean? I know he hasn't stayed healthy. I know he hasn't put it consistently out on film, But if he has the kind of year that he's been shown in preseason, the ability to be aggressive in tackles and break up passes, get after the quarterback, I'm not saying it's going to be a big contract, but I do see the potential for him to earn another opportunity with the Raiders if he can come out here under Patrick Graham and really ball out. Look, there's 52 of you guys. Go over there. If it's your first time here, man, I would love to see you guys smash that subscribe button and go over there and hit the like button and comment after this live is done. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. I never ask anything from you guys. Just show some love and support for your boy. Raider Chaos said, I never knew how much special teams meant to players making the roster. It is a huge aspect of the game. It is a huge aspect. So, yeah, special teams is really one of those underutilized, and especially with us getting a new special teams coach, it's going to be critical and crucial. That look at how many games came down to the wire last year. Look at how many times we had to get a walk-off win when the game was on the line and everything having to go right for Daniel Carlson or AJ Cole coming up with a clutch punt, or special teams in that week 17 game, a Tyron Johnson getting his head in there and creating a turnover, or a Hunter Renfro getting involved in special teams and laying the wood down on a Chargers player on a fake punt. Special teams is critical, you guys. And if it wasn't for the special teams unit, the Raiders wouldn't have been in the playoffs last year. Let's face it. So as much as we wanted to talk about the offense and the defense, the special teams unit for the Raiders last season was critical. It was a huge aspect of the game that nobody talks about. Nobody wants to ever address how critical special teams were for the Raiders last season. But over here, we're going to address it. Special teams is crucial, you guys. Agree, GA. Abram seems to found a spot in Pat G's system. GA says, great show, Ray. Always enjoy your shows. I appreciate that, GA, man. And if all you guys are enjoying the show, man, and you guys love the content and the insight and the info, and maybe I call it the Raiders paradigm. If you like my viewpoint of how I see it, man, let me know down in the comment section below, because there's a lot of times I really like the points that you guys bring up too. Maybe you say something that I wasn't necessarily thinking about, or maybe I give you an aspect to this roster that maybe you didn't see before. And it's all about making Raider Nation sharper, stronger, more educated, and really good when it comes to a solid fan base. I think we should keep Sam Webb. I agree, Victor. I agree. This roster definitely looks stacked on both sides of the ball. Raider Dangerfield just walked in the door from Adelanto event, hanging out with all the creators, and my son getting to hear and feel Nation's energy was awesome. He loved it every time people screamed Raiders. Oh, that's awesome, Daniel. That's awesome. Derek gonna throw dots to T. Billy for real. Straight up. He really is, bro. He really is. I hope we keep 6 wide receivers. I agree. I hope we do too. I like Cleland Cole's route running. He just doesn't offer you, like I said, the special teams department. When I seen him in the fourth quarter, one, he's either on the market to show teams what he can do, and Cleland Cole, you guys, is a good wide receiver. So it's just to say that these guys are going to be on the open market. Watching Devontae Adams on the Pivot Podcast. Yeah, the Pivot Podcast, if you guys haven't yet, go check that podcast out, man. The Pivot Podcast is fire. If you haven't seen it, go watch it after Ray's show. Yeah, I would encourage you guys to go watch Devontae's interview, man. It was pretty cool, man. You're speaking facts, bro. I appreciate that, man. That's what we try to do down here. Ray, in your honest opinion, after looking over this 53-man roster, what's the biggest position you would go out to improve to really put us over the top? For me, it's defensive tackle. Yeah, okay. I would go defensive tackle. Maybe go get you a guy who's a little bit of a tweener, maybe in the mold of a Darius Phillips, a guy who can kind of consistently push the pocket from the interior. I don't think you have to go out and spend a $9 million on Ndamukong Suh. You can let one of these veteran defensive tackles. You guys, this market's going to get flooded with some really good football players here. And what we've been telling you this all offseason, Raider Nation, is to be patient. Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels know what they're doing, and they're going to go find a diamond in a rough. This is what they do. They are experts at doing this. They have their eyes on players that me and you may not even know that much about. But when you click on the game film, regardless if it's in the third quarter, the second quarter, these guys are going to show something on film, and the Raiders are going to go out there and get a sneaky good interior defensive tackle or a backup right tackle. I'm pretty confident in that, you guys. So, yeah, be patient. There's going to be a lot of good football players, a lot of veterans that, end up getting released. And I think that Raider Nation is going to be all right. Webb was body slamming guys last night. Facts. Getting aggressive and tackling. I think Amit kind of set the tone for that. Masterson, Webb, Bowers, linebacker from AZ, White, Parham, and Parham, young studs looking tight. Young guys are developing, and that's a huge shout out to this coaching staff for being able to take a young guy, make him learn a multitude of positions that really simplify the game and get him really disciplined. I mean, these guys aren't even creating a lot of turnovers. You're not seeing a lot of false starts. You're not seeing holding penalties, especially from the young guys like Thayer and Dylan. It's pretty impressive. I've not seen something like it in the Raiders organization. honestly, since I've ever been a fan, which I believe I started following the Raiders. I was at 2001 was when I started watching football games with my dad. I'm 27 years old, so 2001, and then I really started following the team in 2006. So yeah, this team, I've never seen anything like it. I haven't as a Raider fan. You need the right mix of all pro players and cheap blue collar players. And once you get an elite player, a roster with elite foundational players, and then guys who are really out here earning something, guys who are really contributing, regardless of where they're at on the depth chart, that's when you get special teams. And that is where the Raiders are right now. They're really creating a special team. And it's really excited to see. You got this blend of vets that are just – they're all in on football, man. They're out to chase a Super Bowl ring, and all the personalities, all that stuff looks like it's just set to the side, and it's about winning. It's about the Raiders organization, and you got to love that. We finally have a front office that doesn't overpay starters so much that we can't afford good backups. Facts. And really, you guys, they've thrown so much guaranteed money that over the next 3 seasons, you're going to have to nail these next 3 drafts, which is why the Raiders have 11 draft picks in next year's draft. So as these guys are getting older on their deals after these next 3 years, the Devontaes, the Chandler Jones, the Derek Carr contracts, all these guys are going to be starting to get up in age, and you're going to have to start replacing them with young talent. And over the next 3 years, what better way to do it than to have a roster of 3 years worth of guys that have made the roster and have bought into your scheme, understand your system, and just like the New England Patriots did. And everybody always hates that comparison that we talk about, oh, the New England did this, and so look for this for the Raiders. Guys, it's just the nature of the business. If Josh McDaniels did this for the Tennessee Titans or the Dallas Cowboys, whatever team he would have been on, we would look and say, look, history tends to repeat itself, and let's see what he kind of did, especially in his time in Denver and his time in New England. Let's look at how he did, how he structured the team, how many guys he kept at what specific units, what kind of trends are still there. And this is what the Patriots organization did for such a long time, and I think you're going to see some carryover to it, to the Raiders organization, is the ability to go out there, develop guys, and that way when the free agent contracts are up, you're able to move on from those guys and replace them with young guys who have been on the roster for 3 years, these undrafted free agents that have been stashed, learning the system, learning the play calls, learning the terminology, and they get thrown in there and they go and ball out, and you're able to keep a team with key free agent acquisitions, but really built on a foundation of young, talented football players. That's what Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are looking to do, especially over these next 3 drafts. At least we can be relevant for years to come. I think we get 2 more possessions with this defense. I get it. I'm praying that our Stabs does not let Renfrow return punts too risky. That's not going to happen. When's the last time we had 4 turnovers and 4 sacks in one game? Exactly. It's been quite some time, Arnold. Debo says, how do you feel about our new special teams coach? I'm still a little bit iffy. I'm not completely sold, but you know what I mean? They over these last 2 weeks, they've really came a long way. So Josh McDaniels is going to hold these coaches as accountable as he holds these players. So if the special teams coach ain't getting it done, look, there's going to be some shifts. There's going to be some changes there. Fax Arnold, and it's only one. I don't believe it's Bisaccia's league. He's not in Bisaccia's league. Waiver wire is about to blow up. Facts, GA. I really like this one. Waiver wire is going to blow up, man. There's going to be a lot of good players out there. Daniel Kim says, do you think Zieg is holding Parker as a placeholder until the right player is released or becomes available? I think it's a poker play. So I think the situation going on with Brandon Parker is a bit of 2 things. I think that there still might be working on an injury settlement. You're also looking at the roster-wise when it comes down to trimming down your roster to the 53 men. Let's see if there's a guy that goes onto the trade market or a veteran tackle that's released, and then you could put Brandon Parker on IR, which frees up another roster spot. So I think that they're just being patient and really going to make that decision when they're coming down to the 53-man roster and looking to add somebody to the roster, if that makes sense. So right when you're trying to go out there and make a move for another tackle, boom, you place Brandon Parker on IR, frees up a roster spot, and then you're able to add. But why not trim your roster down to 53, place Brandon on IR, opens up that roster spot, and now you can refill it. That's what I think is going on. What good news should we be pretty healthy of a roster heading into week 1? Facts. I get it. Yeah, facts. It's been absolutely awesome how healthy we've been able to stay outside of Brandon Parker. Raider Chaos says, which UDFA are you most excited about? UDFA that's going to make the roster or the practice squad. I'll give you two that I'm excited long-term wise of developing, and that's Bam Osalene and Zach Van Valkenburg. They're not going to get starting time this year, but over the next course of the next few years, if you can stash them and develop them, I'm really excited about those guys. But when you're talking about the UDFAs that I'm excited about this year, really, I think Luke Masterson has really emerged. He's really that guy. He's just the leader of the defense, gets guys in formation, and that's something that you don't typically see out of UDFA guys like Darian Butler, the Sam Webbs of the world. There's been a lot of guys that's really emerged, and it's been pretty intriguing to see. So those are the guys that I would probably point to specifically. If I had to circle one, though, it's going to be Luke Masterson. He's just emerged, created turnovers, disruptive, disciplined. He's prepared. You can tell he's in the film room. He knows his assignments. I mean, overall, just a phenomenal offseason for him. That's not to say that he's a perfect player, Raider Nation, but he's a really, really good UDFA. And this is one of those guys that I could see develop over the course of the next few years for the Raiders. That's really going to be a key contributor to the Raiders defense. Raider Chaos says, how much cap space will we have next year? Well, it's a very fluid number. So I could go and look on paper. Sean Johnson, if you can, man, go grab some facts for me real quick of what we have on paper right now, but it's going to change, Raider Chaos. So it's not even worth looking into right now what the cap space is next year. I would be more focused on this season because that number is going to be so fluid and it can change with one roster move, one major release. Say a player doesn't work out for the Raiders this year and you get out of the contract and free up a ton of cap space. We see it every year. So it doesn't really necessarily matter what our cap space is next year because you're not going to be that aggressive in free agency anyways. You're really going to be putting your focus and attention, like I said, on these next 3 drafts coming up. So really you should be looking at how many draft picks we have, not how much cap space we have. I hope that Waller gets a good Christian agent that gets him paid, but keeps him on a team-friendly deal as well. Yeah, I agree. Hey, I'd like a lot of these guys to get some Christian people in their life, man. I really would. Horsted replacing Moreau when he gets traded next year. Ugh. I don't know about that one, Mo. I don't know about that Raider Reaper. Horsted looked decent. I mean, he's kind of emerged. I think a lot of people don't realize that Foster Moreau is going to be a really, really good red zone target for the Raiders this year, especially with Josh McDaniels, with Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. You got big outside weapon like a Mac Hollins, Josh Jacobs coming into the red zone, who I think is going to have also a really big red zone season is Josh Jacobs, and a Brandon Bolden receiving out of the backfield. Foster Moreau just gets lost in these matchups, and he's going to be able to take advantage of a lot of situations of being schemed open. So Foster Moreau is going to have a pretty big year. I don't think Horsted is on the level of Foster Moreau yet. Foster's a really good blocker, sneaky good with his hands. I don't think Foster Moreau is a true number 1 tight end. When Darren Waller went down, he didn't emerge as the guy. I wanted to see a little bit more from Foster Moreau, and I just didn't see it. But as a complimentary number 2, and especially getting under Josh McDaniels, he has a real potential to go out there and really ball out for the Raiders. And balling out could be almost, close to a 500-yard season with, 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. That could be a balling out season for Foster. Raider Chaos says, I can't wait to see Luke ball out this year. I think Bryce Crosby could be stored away on the practice squad. He really has a nose for the ball. Bryce could be a guy that's stored on the practice squad. I think that's the home for him right now currently. New TV contracts are expected to increase salary cap for every next couple of seasons. And that's why I said a lot of people have to stop focusing so much on the salary cap next year. It's not a big deal. These new TV deals, the salary cap is always increasing. I'm not worried about it, you guys. There's going to be cap space to re-sign a guy that you need extended. But really, your eyes, Raider Nation, needs to be focused on the draft and really knocking out these next couple drafts. I think Moreau not playing a lot in preseason shows how much McDaniels like him. Some facts. If they were worried about Foster Moreau, he would be out there playing. Our receiving core is going to ball out for sure. I mean, you're going to have 1,300-yard receiver in Devontae. You have a tight end who has shown all the capabilities in the world to get over 1,000. Hunter Renfrow broke 1,000 last year. I mean, if this offensive line could keep him upright, you can have a balanced attack with the running game. Derek Carr should be knocking around that 4,500 yard range and have 3 receivers. I know for a fact he's going to have 2 1,000-yard receivers like he did in 2016, but you're talking about the potential of even 3. If we can really spread the defenses out, get in that air raid type of offense and play a little bit similar to what we played in 2016. The running game is going to be crucial, but you're going to see a lot more shotgun out of Derek Carr, which I think really services him really, really well, and make these defenses cover all these weapons. So it would be smart for Josh McDaniels to spread things out and really stretch these defenses out thin. And I think that's what you're going to see with the Raiders. So yeah, the wide receiver core, the tight ends, this entire offense as a whole is going to have an extremely explosive season. Sean Johnson says right now we have 22 million, 2023, 26 million, 2024, $75 million, you guys. Don't worry about cap space. We shouldn't have to address cap space anymore. Thank you, Sean Johnson, for doing that. I appreciate you. There's a reason why I've got really good moderators. They do their job fantastic. And if you want to earn a spot on being a moderator, man, just let me know if you want to be a moderator. That way, when some of my guys can't pull up every time I go live, I've got my backups, right? I've got my guys that I've developed behind the scenes who's made the roster, the moderator roster. So let me know down in the comment section below if that's something you'd be interested in. Specifically, those people who are pretty loyal to the show and show up at a consistent time. Has there been a team with 3 wide receivers? Yeah. There's been teams with 3 1,000-yard receivers. It's not too often. But yeah, there has been. Sean, you could also do the research on that if you want to. Maybe bring us some names historically on some teams that have had 3 1,000-yard receivers. It hasn't been done a lot, but it has been done. So yeah, let me know what you end up finding, Sean, and we can bring that to Raider Nation. But yeah, I do. I think the Raiders, they really do have that potential to go out there and maybe create it. Now, I see Hunter Renfrow having like that 800-yard range with 8 touchdowns, and then Darren and if Darren can stay healthy, Darren and Devontae really balling out with those 2,000 yards, 1,000 apiece. So if Hunter Renfrow can get up to 1,000 as well, I think that'd be extremely impressive. Derek Carr is going to favor Hunter Renfrow, you guys. He's going to go in his direction just because of the rapport, the chemistry, the friendship that they've developed off the field. And the way that Josh McDaniels utilizes these slot receivers. Look, Hunter Renfrow is going to ball out this year. He might even have a better year than what he had last year. I'm just going to say it. So, yeah, there's 52 of you guys. If it's your first time here, man, subscribe to the channel. Go over there and smash the like button, man. We're going to get ready to wrap this show up here. We had a phenomenal show. You guys have been absolutely ridiculous. Smash the like button. Go over there and subscribe to the channel if it's your first time. We are on the road to 1,000 Raider Nation, and we only need a little bit over 100 subscribers by September 11th, and I think it's very achievable. So go show your love and support, man. Do you think the staff has Waller's contract on the to-do list this year, or are they waiting to see what he does for this year? I think it is something that they're working on. I would like to see maybe Darren Waller stay a little bit healthy. And if Darren Waller can consistently be healthy, say mid-season, you could always offer him a contract extension come week 8, week 9, which if I'm Dave Ziegler and I'm Josh McDaniels, that's the route I want to go before I invest that much money. And Josh has already come out and said that Darren Waller is a huge part of this Raiders offense. So, yeah, they want to get a deal done. You've seen the type of money they've always consistently thrown at the tight end position. Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez, Hunter Henry last offseason. They went out there and paid these guys, right? This isn't going to be any different. And Darren Waller's probably better than majority of those guys. You know what I mean? Outside of the Gronk and Hernandez era where they were absolutely killing it. Darren Waller has the capability and the potential to go out there and be probably the best tight end in football, especially in this scheme and this system. If I'm Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, I say, hey, Darren, you want a new deal? We want to give you a new deal. We want to give you a little bit of a pay raise before we go out there and extend you. So here's a little bit of guaranteed money for the season, just in case you were to get hurt prior to that week 8 game. And if you can get to week 8, week 9, and really show us that you're able to stay healthy, you haven't missed game time, and you're putting up consistent numbers, and you're really a scheme fit, we're going to extend you to a contract. So that's what the route I would probably take. Edgar says, anything that you dislike about the defense? I don't think it's that I dislike anything. It's I want to see the creativity come week 1 because I've liked what I've seen in the preseason. I just don't want any of that to fall off. As a matter of fact, I would like to see the aggression even go up. I think with the cover corners like a Nate Hobbs, a Trayvon Mullen, a Rock Ya-Sin, and Anthony Averett, I think you can pin your ears back a little bit more than what we've seen in times past and really get after the quarterback. That should be a main focal point of this Raiders defense, is creating a pass rush that's relentless, especially in a division with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson. You got to get after these guys. You have premier booking edge rushers and Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. You've got good depths in the Malcolm Kuntz. You got really good linebackers. Denzel Perryman's a good blitzing linebacker. You can get Jonathan Abram involved. I just want to see this defense stay aggressive and play a high amount of man coverage because I think it's going to lead to a lot of turnovers for the Raiders defense. So nothing that I dislike. I would like maybe a little bit more depth on the interior of the defensive line. Maybe get, like I said, one of those tweener guys that can push the pocket a little bit more. But really, I'm pretty fired up about what Patrick Graham has going on. Now, that's not anywhere close to what I've said in previous years. I thought Gus Bradley, while there was improvements, it was still very vanilla, pretty basic. 98% of the time you're running that cover 3 and you're just getting different variations of cover 3 and you're the least blitzing team in the NFL. Wasn't a huge fan of it, even though we had increase in performance. And Paul Guenther, we don't even need to address it. Too complex of a defense and not a good teacher. You're putting up a big equation on the board and you don't even know how to solve the answer yourself. That's what I got out of Paul Guenther. Doesn't know how to put players in positions to succeed, not getting after the quarterback, a lot of guys not knowing where they're going. I just want a good fundamental, good tackling defense who knows and understands and are fully prepared week in and week out to get in there and play Raider football. You know what I mean? Sticky in coverage, get after the quarterback, simplify this game, and let's create some turnovers. I can't believe how smart Josh and Zeke have been. Facts. They can rework Waller's existing contract to pay him more without doing an extension. Facts. Dadgum, Ray. You keep saying what I'm typing as I hit send. Hey, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. He better be at practice, Raider Chaos says. Arnold. Arnold says 80 San Diego, 89 Washington, 95 Falcons, 04 Colts, 08 Cardinals, teams with a trio of 1,000-yard receivers. See, I knew that the Raiders wouldn't be the only one. Here's Sean. The 04 Colts, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Brandon Stokely all at least had 1,000 receiving. Edgar and James had over 1,500 rushing. And the 95 Falcons, led by Jeff George, Eric Metcalf, Burt Emanuel, Terrence Mathias, all had 1,000 receiving. Craig Hayward rushed for just over 1,000 yards. This is the type of offense, Raider Nation, that you're going to see. And you heard it over here on Raider Ray First. This is the type of offense we're going to see. I really do. You're going to insert, we're going to look back on the season and insert the Raiders into this list of elite offenses that this is the potential that the Raiders have. GA says, thanks, guys. There are a lot of 3 I sent you 4. Okay, sweet. Thank you, Sean. There have been 2 teams all time with 4 1,000-yard players. Now, if you're throwing in a running back, wouldn't that be wild if Josh Jacobs goes out here and rushes for 1,000? I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. But could you imagine Devontae, Hunter, Darren, and Josh Jacobs all hitting 1,000 yards this season? You're talking about the Raiders making a deep push into the postseason and probably playing for the Super Bowl. It's just too explosive of an offense to cover. It's been fantastic. Most impressive preseason take. Everybody seems to know where they're supposed to be on the field. Even the third-string guys know their assignments, and that is crucial when developing a championship roster. Is even the water boy knows what time to give the guys water. I mean, the scorekeeper, the chain movers, everybody, man. The towel man knows when to wipe. I pause. It's just everybody's accountable. Everybody's accountable, and everybody looks like they know what they're supposed to be doing, right? So that's what a champion team looks like. I think Carr and Devontae ran the spread at Fresno. They did. And I think if you're Josh McDaniels, it'd be wise to spread these defenses out a little bit, really make them dig into their tool bag, see how good their cover corners are, really test the depth of these rosters. And I think that's what Josh McDaniels is going to do. Yeah, you might be able to allocate coverage over to Devontae or maybe shade protection over to Darren Waller. But we're really going to test those 4th and 5th defensive backs with guys like Tyron Johnson and Mac Hollins and, you know what I mean, a DJ Turner and really create some mismatches that a lot of teams just aren't prepared for. And that's if teams stay healthy at the defensive back position. If guys start getting beat up in their talent, they're going to have to start digging into free agents that they just bring in or practice squad candidates. The Raiders have a real opportunity to exploit a lot of defenses this year. I don't think I've ever seen backups take out starters like last night. LOL. No. It was just a dominant performance. It was a really special dominant performance. If we had healthy OBJ, then you could push 4 guys. That would be awesome. He's going to cost a pretty penny, and I don't think the Raiders necessarily need it. But say the Raiders are just trying to put their foot on the NFL's throat and just be like, hey, look, you can't guard none of us. Like, we're just too good. We're too deep. You can't guard anything on our offense. Go out there and get OBJ when he's healthy. That'd be fantastic. I heard that McDaniels was even doing practice drills on how to run timeouts. Details, details, details. It's a critical part of coaching. It's a critical part of developing a roster and creating a championship team is the details. Under John Gruden, we just seen the lack of details. Under Dennis Allen and Jack Del Rio and all these guys, right? Just lack of details, not discipline. You had talent, but you didn't have discipline. And that's where these teams fell short. We were our own biggest enemy a lot of the times, you guys, whether it be confused, guys not in the right place at the right time, penalties, giving teams another shot in the arm and giving them another chance to win the football game. Not anymore. Not anymore. It's getting cleaned up under Josh McDaniels, and I'm fired up. On those teams with multiple 1,000 yards, who was the QBs? And just think about it, probably aren't better than Carr. I just remember Jeff George on the Colts and on Oakland. Yeah. And look, Carr's a good quarterback, and he's fully capable of doing it, you guys. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. Raider Nation, I have been going for an hour and 35 minutes, and it's been a remarkable show. If you guys had a good time, man, I really, really encourage you guys, when this live stream ends, please go blow up the video in the comments. Just let me know that you love the show so I can interact with you guys when the camera is off. If you are new to this channel, subscribe to the channel. Go smash the like button. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys enjoyed this show. I had an absolutely phenomenal time spending my evening with you guys. It's been one heck of a show, y'all. And that was my 53-man roster. We kind of talked about the team and some situations moving forward. Like I said, remember the name Yadni Kajust, tackle for the Patriots. Let's see if he's released and maybe the Raiders can go out there. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys, man. You guys are special. You guys have helped me grow this show. I love you guys deeply, and I truly mean that. We've created a family over here. If you guys love the show, man, just continue to tune in, continue to be faithful, interact with my community page. If you guys haven't, man, let me drop my IG one more time for everybody that's in the building. My IG is _Raider Ray _. So go over there, follow me on there. I'll let you guys know when I'm doing live shows and videos that are about to drop. But Raider Nation, I'm going to address these comments and then we're going to close out the show, man. So I appreciate everybody here, man. Raider Chaos says, first time on the show. It was great. Good job. Thank you, Raider Chaos. I appreciate you coming onto the show, bro. And hopefully it's not the last time. You always have a voice here, and I'll always put your comments up and we'll address your conversations. Armando, I love the show. I appreciate it, man. This is what fires me up. This is what keeps putting content out, man. Raider Ray, you know we scored 90 points and gave up 50 points and only gave up 4 touchdowns throughout the entire preseason. And we didn't create turnovers. We didn't give the football up. That was another crucial part. Thanks for the show, Arnold says. GA Patriot says, thank you, Ray, man. I absolutely love you guys, man. Thank you, guys. T Loco says, Raider Nation for life. George says, salute, Raider Ray. Appreciate your channel, bro. I appreciate you for pulling up, my friend. So much love to you guys. All 41 of you guys. Go smash the like button, man. We are tuning out. Stay tuned for this week, man. Let's see if we can't get another content creator on here. But like I said earlier, you guys want me to also just drop out my own content. So that's what I'm going to focus on doing. We're going to be dropping off weekly content. This is not the last time you're hearing from me this week. Stay tuned for the live shows. Stay tuned for the videos that we're going to be dropping. Raider Nation, Raider Ray is out. And before we go, as always, just win, baby.